Hey YouTube, I'm out here working on the car again, and my parts came. Here is the new PI intake sitting next to the old NPI intake. As you can see, the PI is much larger, much taller. The intake runners are a lot longer. The ports are also quite a bit bigger. And they're also not as straight-lined, hard-shaped, a lot less harsh bends. Air flows a lot better through it. Now, one thing you may notice is this one has the two sensors like I mentioned before. This one only has provision for one. So I am going to have to unbolt these aluminum plates and swap them. No problem. I mean, they're just held on by a few bolts down here. Would have been nice to use this brand new shiny one, but no harm, no foul. Now, that is not the only thing that came. My new Underdrive Pulleys came. Now, as you may remember, I showed you this pulley. You know, it's from the March pulley set. The problem with the March set, which I had no problem using, I was going to, but this was on sale and it was quite cheap, was that the lower harmonic balancer it doesn't come with one. You have to use the old balancer and piggyback it in front of the pulley. Well, the Summit Racing set comes with an 18.1 SFI certified balancer. The whole entire set actually costs less than a brand new factory harmonic balancer. Comes with the alternator pulley, which I will not be using just because I do not feel like taking that pulley off, and I don't really want to mess with the charge, don't want to slow down the alternator too much just because of all the electrical equipment this car has. It used to be a police car, so it still has a bunch of that wiring, and I don't really want to mess with it. Some of that stuff still works, so I will leave that alone. And the water pump it comes with. Now, this one is steel. The March one was aluminum, so it actually is slightly, so they weigh about the same. This one is slightly lighter. So I will be using the full Summit, the Summit pulleys. The March set is for sale if anyone wants it. It is for the long style water pump that was found from 96 to mid 2001 before they switched to the shorter water pump. Now, that metal hose down there the PI intake will not clear it. So as what I'm going to be doing is just going to be running like 5 feet, or actually about 4.5 feet of just rubber heater hose, 5/8, just right from the water pump all the way down, because I do not feel like spending $60 for the factory metal hose. Rubber hose will be perfectly fine. There will be same chance for leaks either way. It's hard to get back there to bolt it up, and I do not feel like messing with it, so I'm just going to use the rubber hose. This one actually, as you can see, was leaking, as it is wet there. And that was not from the intake. That was actually leaking on its own. So this metal hose was actually going to have to be replaced anyway. See, that's another thing. I live in Michigan. We have something called salt. as you can see from the oxidization on the aluminum parts of this engine right here, you know, it's not nice and shiny like the aluminum crossover was on the new intake manifold. So stuff rusts, and rubber hose might get dry rotted and, you know, crack and stuff, but it won't rust. And either way, when it fails, you have to do the same thing, remove the intake manifold. I guess I'm being lazy and trying to justify it. Well, cheap, not really lazy. It involves the same amount of work. But yeah, I should be start probably getting the intake on probably this weekend, and I'll probably have a video up of that showing what I'm doing, how to do it. Getting this metal hose is actually not too hard. There's just 2 bolts back here. You have to undo them. Don't know what size. I think it's probably the same as everything else, a 10mm. Just undo those, and then you can then undo the clamp, and the hose will come off. I recommend a box cutter or some other kind of razor blade knife to get that off, because chances are it's probably been on for as long as the car it has been on for however long the car is old, unless the engine's been swapped out. But yeah, that should be on pretty soon, and I will have a video up of that. The only parts I am waiting for is my new throttle body that I ordered. I decided to, you know, go larger because I found it on eBay for pretty cheap. It's 75mm. Seems to be a knockoff version of the AccuFab or BBK. I didn't quite realize which one. Throttle body, and just a 1/2-inch spacer. I already have one, but the problem is mine had 2 holes for like a nitrous system, and one of the plugs were stripped out, so I couldn't. I can't even find it, so can't really use it. But, yep, that is where I'm sitting on this, and hopefully this picture's slightly better so you can actually see stuff. So, till the next video.